The British monarch, Queen Victoria, left her mark on world history in several ways, so much so that even the era of her reign is now known as the Victorian Era. Victoria's reign lasted for 63 years. 9 children were born of her marriage to Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Those 9 had a total of 45 children, and all of these children married within the European royal houses. In this video, we'll take a short look at the lives of each of Victoria's children and how their marriages and offspring earned Victoria the nickname of Grandmother of Europe. Victoria Adelaide Maria Louisa. Victoria Adelaide Maria Louisa was born on November 21, 1840. She was Victoria's firstborn. Victoria's daughters were given the title Princess of Great Britain and Northern Ireland at birth. In Victoria Adelaide's case, her title changed in 1841 to Princess Royal, a title given to the eldest daughter of a reigning British king or queen. In 1858, Victoria Adelaide married the German Prince Friedrich Wilhelm of Prussia. This son of Emperor Wilhelm I would go on to succeed his father as Emperor Friedrich III in 1888, making Victoria Adelaide German Empress and Queen of Prussia. Unfortunately, Friedrich's reign was cut short by cancer of the larynx within 99 days of his coronation. He was succeeded by his son, Kaiser Wilhelm II. After the death of her husband, Victoria Adelaide lived a secluded life as Dowager Empress at a castle near Kronberg, where she died of breast cancer in 1901 at the age of 60. Albert Edward. Albert Edward, better known as Edward VII, was King of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland and Emperor of the Indies from January 22, 1901 until his death. He was the first monarch from the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to rule the United Kingdom. Edward, who was called Bertie by his loved ones, was born at Buckingham Palace on November 9, 1841. He held the title of Prince of Wales, a title bestowed upon the heir of the British throne for 59 years, making him the one who longest held this title before being passed by Prince Charles. The young Bertie wasn't a good student, and he was overall perceived as being a difficult child. During the entire reign of his mother, Queen Victoria, Edward was kept out of state affairs and was not allowed to meddle in politics. He spent much of his time in Paris and occupied himself with his many mistresses. Edward married Alexandra of Denmark, who was the daughter of Denmark's King Christian X in 1863. However, even as a married man, Albert Edward continued to lead his frivolous lifestyle and was often seen partaking in the London and Parisian nightlife. Upon the death of Queen Victoria on January 22, 1901, Edward became king, marking the beginning of the Edwardian era. Contrary to politicians' fears, however, Edward performed well as reigning monarch. Through his diplomatic actions, he contributed to the improvement of British relations with Russia and especially with France. Edward VII's domestic policy was also considered to be successful. He contributed to the reduction of the power of the House of Lords, partly in favor of that of the House of Commons. During his reign, moreover, new social legislation came into being, making the king popular with his British subjects. Edward reigned for 9 years and died at the age of 68 on May 6, 1910, after suffering several heart attacks. He was succeeded by his son, who became known as King George V. Alice Maud Mary. Queen Victoria's second daughter, Alice, also occupies a central place in the history of European dynasties. She was born on April 25, 1843 in London. Alice married the Grand Duke Louis IV of Hesse-Darmstadt in 1862. Alice is known to having been a carrier of the blood disease hemophilia, which she inherited from her mother, Queen Victoria, and passed on to her daughter, Victoria Alix. Victoria Alix married Tsar Nicholas II in 1894 and passed on the condition to her son, Tsarevich Alexei Nikolaevich, setting in motion a series of events which contributed to the execution of the entire Russian imperial family. Furthermore, Alice was known for her efforts in providing aid in military hospitals during the Austro-Prussian Wars. During this time, she befriended Florence Nightingale. Alice died of diphtheria in 1878 after it spread through the Hessian court just a year after she became Grand Duchess of Hesse. She was the first of 3 children of Queen Victoria to be survived by their mother. Alfred Ernst Albert. Alfred Ernst Albert was born at Windsor Castle on August 6, 1844. He married the Grand Duchess Maria Alexandrovna, who was a daughter of Tsar Alexander II in 1874. Their daughter Marie would go on to marry King Ferdinand I of Romania in 1893 and thus became Queen of Romania. Alfred joined the Royal Navy at the age of 14. He remained in the Navy all his life with his final rank of Admiral of the Fleet in 1893. Alfred was the reigning Duke of the German Duchy of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha from 1893 onwards. He died on July 30, 1900, at Rosenau Castle near Coburg. Helena Augusta Victoria. Helena was born at Buckingham Palace in London on May 25, 1846. This daughter of Victoria married Prince Christian of Schleswig-Holstein. Prince Christian had been involved in the First German-Danish War, and the prince's family had to flee after that war. Christian went to study in Bonn, where he became friends with the later German Emperor Friedrich III. In 1865, he met Princess Helena in Coburg. The following year, they married and settled in England, where they remained for the rest of their lives. The couple had 6 children. Helena was very involved in charities and was founding chair of the Ladies' Committee of the British Red Cross. She died in London on June 9, 1923. Louisa Carolina Alberta. Louisa was born in London on March 18, 1848. After several princes from European royal houses had been rejected as suitors by Victoria, Louisa married John Campbell, the Duke of Argyll, in 1871. The couple had no children. The Duke became Governor-General of Canada in 1878, and Louisa became very popular there, so much so that the province of Alberta was named after her. In 1880, Louisa was seriously injured as a result of an accident. Louisa consequently left Canada and returned to Britain to recover. In 1883, her husband also returned to Britain. During her lifetime, she pursued a career as a sculptor and became a strong advocate for higher education and the feminist cause. Louisa died in London on December 3, 1939. Arthur William Patrick Albert. Arthur was born in London on May 1, 1850. In 1874, he was given the titles of Duke of Connaught and Strathern and Earl of Sussex. In 1879, he married Louisa Margaret of Prussia, the youngest daughter of Prince Frederick Charles of Prussia. Arthur and Louisa had 3 children, the eldest of whom, Margaret Victoria, would go on to marry the Swedish Crown Prince Gustav Adolf. In 1950, Gustav became King of Sweden. But as Margaret had already died in 1920, she never became queen. Prince Arthur served in the British Army for 40 years, rising to become Commander-in-Chief of Ireland and Inspector General of the Armed Forces. He was the last surviving son of Victoria and remained active in the army until World War II. Furthermore, he also served as Governor General of Canada from 1911 until 1916. Arthur died in Surrey on January 16, 1942. Leopold George Duncan Albert. The youngest son of Victoria was born on April 7, 1853, and was named after his great-uncle Leopold I of Belgium, through whose efforts his parents' marriage had come about. From his mother, he inherited the disease hemophilia. Furthermore, he suffered from epilepsy, which hampered his chances of entering the military. He had to abstain from physical activity as much as possible. He compensated for this by acting as patron of the arts and literature and otherwise engaging in intellectual pursuits. Because of his illness, Leopold had great difficulty finding a wife. Eventually, his mother offered a solution. She arranged a meeting with Helena Frederica, the daughter of Prince George Victor of Waldeck-Pyrmont. Helena was a younger sister of Emma, the later Queen of the Netherlands, wife of William III and mother of Queen Wilhelmina. They married on April 27, 1882, in St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. The couple had 2 children, Alice Maria Victoria and Charles Edward. Many sufferers from hemophilia experience a lot of joint pain. This was no different for Leopold. The cold climate of England did not make it any better, so his doctor advised him to go to Cannes. In Cannes, he slipped, fell, and died the next morning. His wife Helena gave birth after his death to their son, Charles Edward, who succeeded his father from birth as Duke of Albany. Beatrice Maria Victoria Feodor. Queen Victoria was very fond of her youngest child, Princess Beatrice, who was born at Buckingham Palace on April 14, 1857. Beatrice became Victoria's confidant and also assisted her in royal duties. It was Victoria's wish that Beatrice would not marry and would always keep her mother company, but the princess thought otherwise. There were, in any case, plenty of sons from royal houses who came into the picture as suitors. Among them was the only son of Emperor Napoleon III of France, Napoleon Eugène Louis, who had fled to England with his family after the Franco-German War. However, the young Napoleon, who had received military training in England, took part in the Zulu War of 1879 in South Africa and was killed there. Beatrice then wished to marry the German prince Henry Maurice of Battenberg. Queen Victoria gave her consent only after a year's insistence on the condition that the couple would stay in England and move in with her. Beatrice agreed, and the couple entered into marriage in 1885. Beatrice's husband died in 1895. From that moment on, the princess always remained at her mother's side. After the Queen's death in 1901, she edited the Queen's diaries. She died on October 1944, outliving all her siblings and the 2 youngest of her 4 children. Thank you for watching.